Here's what most people get wrong about the Roman Empire. They think it collapsed overnight. Like one day there were gladiators and marble columns, and the next day, nothing. That's not how it works. Rome didn't fall in a day. It rotted, slowly, from the inside. And the weapon that killed it wasn't a barbarian sword. It was money. Bad money. And the scariest part? You're watching the exact same playbook unfold right now with your savings, your paycheck, your future. Welcome to Money Never Learns. Let's go back, way back, 211 BC. Rome just introduced something revolutionary, a standardized silver coin called the denarius. Beautiful little thing, almost pure silver, about 4.5 grams of it. And this coin, this single coin, became the backbone of the greatest empire the world had ever seen. Think of the denarius like the dollar of the ancient world. Soldiers got paid in it, merchants traded with it, taxes flowed through it. For nearly 500 years, this coin held the Roman economy together. It worked because people trusted it. They could bite into it, feel the weight, see the silver. But here's the thing about trust. It's easy to exploit. And empires? Empires always find a reason to exploit it. The first cracks appeared under Emperor Nero. Yeah, that Nero, the fiddle guy. Around 64 AD, Rome burns. Massive fire. The city needs rebuilding, and rebuilding costs money. Money Nero didn't have. So what did he do? Did he raise taxes, cut spending, sell off some of those fancy palaces? Nah. He did something much cleverer. He took the denarius and shaved it, reduced the silver content from nearly pure down to about 94%. Subtle, barely noticeable. The coins looked the same, felt almost the same, but each one contained a little less real value. And here's the genius part, or the evil part, depending on where you're standing. By reducing the silver in each coin, Nero could mint more coins from the same amount of metal. More coins meant more spending power for the government. It was like a magic trick, money from thin air. Sound familiar? Now, 6% doesn't sound like much, and honestly, it wasn't. The economy barely flinched. Prices stayed relatively stable. People didn't riot in the streets. And that was the real danger. Because Nero had just proven something irresistible to every ruler who came after him. You can cheat the money and get away with it. But here's what they didn't tell you. Getting away with it once is like getting away with stealing from the cookie jar once. You don't stop. You never stop. Because why would you? It worked. And so began the longest, slowest monetary suicide in human history. After Nero, emperor after emperor reached into that same cookie jar. Trajan, brilliant military mind, expanded the empire to its largest ever territory, conquered Dacia, modern-day Romania, and hauled back a mountain of gold and silver. Problem solved, right? Temporarily. Because conquests are expensive. The soldiers wanted bonuses, the citizens wanted spectacles, the infrastructure needed maintenance. So Trajan kept the debasement going. Just a little more. Just a touch. Then came Hadrian, built that famous wall, pulled back from expansion. But walls cost money too, and maintaining borders without new conquest income? That's like paying a mortgage after you've been laid off. The silver content kept dropping. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, the wise one, the guy whose meditations are sold in airport bookstores today as self-help guides, even he debased the currency, because wisdom, apparently, has limits when the bills come due. Plague hit the empire, wars on multiple fronts. The Antonine Plague alone may have killed 5 million people. Tax revenue collapsed, military costs exploded. And the solution? Same as always. Reduce the silver, mint more coins, kick the problem down the road. Wait, it gets worse. By the time we reach the 3rd century, the denarius is a zombie. Emperor Septimius Severus slashed the silver content to around 50%. His advice to his sons, and this is real, he literally told them to enrich the soldiers and ignore everyone else. That was the governing philosophy of the world's greatest empire. Pay the army, forget the rest. His son Caracalla? Oh, Caracalla. This guy had a solution, a brilliant solution. He introduced a brand new coin called the Annihilation, officially valued at 2 denarii. The catch? It contained only about 1.5 denarii worth of silver. Think about what just happened. The government literally told people, this coin is worth 2 of the old coins. But it wasn't. It was worth less. And they just expected everyone to go along with it. And for a while, people did. This is the ancient equivalent of your government printing a new $20 bill that only has $15 worth of purchasing power and saying, trust us, it's $20. That's not economics. That's gaslighting. And that decision would destroy an entire economy. Because once you disconnect the face value of money from its actual value, you've opened a door you can never close. And through that door comes something terrifying. The crisis of the 3rd century. From 235 to 284 AD, 50 years of absolute chaos. The empire nearly dissolved. Over 50 emperors in half a century. Some lasted months, some lasted weeks. Each one needed to buy loyalty from the army. Each one debased the currency further. It became a death spiral. More debasement meant less trust meant higher prices meant more debasement. By the 260s and 70s, the coins that were once gleaming silver were basically bronze with a thin silver wash. We're talking less than 5% silver content. Some coins from this period, archaeologists find them and the silver coating has literally flaked off, leaving bare copper underneath. The Denarius had gone from nearly pure silver to a copper token with a memory of silver. Over roughly 200 years, the currency lost over 95% of its precious metal content. And prices? Boom. Inflation exploded. We're talking prices doubling, tripling. Some estimates suggest wheat prices increased by over 200 times during the worst periods. Imagine going to the grocery store and your bread costs 200 times what it did when your parents were shopping. That's not inflation. That's economic annihilation. Soldiers started refusing to accept their pay in debased coins. They demanded payment in grain, equipment, anything with actual value. Barter started replacing monetary exchange in parts of the empire. The most sophisticated economy on earth went backwards 1,000 years in how it conducted business. Trade networks that had connected Britain to Syria, Spain to Egypt, collapsed. Because why would you ship goods across the Mediterranean if the coins you receive might be worthless by the time you get home? The Roman trade network was like Amazon Prime for the ancient world, and it just shut down. Cities shrank. Skilled workers disappeared. The middle class, yes, Rome had a middle class, got obliterated. You know who survived? The ultra-wealthy, who held land and physical assets, and the ultra-poor, who had nothing to lose. History doesn't repeat, but humans stay stupid. Now, Diocletian tried to fix it. Around 284 AD, he stabilized the empire, reformed the military, restructured the government. And he tackled inflation with the most ambitious price control in history, the Edict on Maximum Prices in 301 AD. This thing was incredible. It listed maximum prices for over 1,000 goods and services. Wheat, barley, wine, beer, sausages, shoes, haircuts, everything. The penalty for charging more than the listed price? Death. Death for overcharging on sausages. Narrator voice. It did not work. Merchants simply stopped selling goods rather than sell at a loss. Black markets exploded. The edict became unenforceable within years. You cannot legislate away inflation when the currency itself is the problem. Telling merchants charge less while simultaneously printing worthless money is like telling someone to bail water while you're drilling holes in the boat. Diocletian also tried currency reform, introduced new, higher quality coins. But trust was already gone, and rebuilding trust in money? That's like rebuilding trust in a relationship after you've been caught lying for 200 years. People hoarded the good coins and spent the bad ones. This is actually a famous economic principle, Gresham's law. Bad money drives out good, and it played out perfectly in Rome. Constantine, the emperor who legalized Christianity and moved the capital to Constantinople, he had better luck. Sort of. He introduced the solidus around 309 AD, a gold coin, 4.5 grams of pure gold. And here's the remarkable thing. This coin held its value for over 700 years. 700 years. But, and this is a big but, the solidus worked precisely because it was gold. Real, physical, you can bite it gold. Not a promise, not a token, not a symbol. Actual precious metal that couldn't be easily faked or diluted. The catch? There wasn't enough gold to go around for everyday transactions. So ordinary Romans, the farmers, the laborers, the shopkeepers, they were still stuck using debased bronze and copper coins. The wealthy elite transacted in gold. Everyone else dealt in financial garbage. Two monetary systems, one for the rich, one for everyone else. Thank goodness we've moved past that kind of inequality. But here's where it gets worse. The damage from debasement wasn't just financial. It was structural. It changed how Rome functioned at its core. The tax system broke down. Collecting taxes in worthless coins made no sense, so the government shifted to collecting taxes in kind: grain, livestock, labor. This sounds simple enough, but think about what it means. You need a massive bureaucracy to assess, collect, transport, and store physical goods instead of just counting coins. Government got bigger, more expensive, more intrusive, more corrupt. The military transformed. Soldiers who couldn't trust their pay demanded land grants instead. This created a system where military service was rewarded with property, which sounds fine until you realize it meant the government was literally giving away pieces of the empire to keep its own army loyal. Every generation, more land transferred from public to private military hands. Labor markets froze. Diocletian actually passed laws binding workers to their professions. If your father was a baker, you were a baker forever. Your children, also bakers. This wasn't tradition, this was law. Because when money stops working as a motivator, you need force to keep people in essential jobs. Economic freedom died, not from tyranny for its own sake, but because the currency collapse left no other option. And as usual, nobody learned anything. The Western Roman Empire finally dissolved in 476 AD. And yeah, there were barbarian invasions and military failures and political dysfunction. But underneath all of it, the money had been dying for 3 centuries. You can't run an empire, you can't run anything on currency that nobody trusts. Now, you're probably thinking, interesting history lesson, but we're smarter now. We have central banks, we have economists, we have computers and data and centuries of hindsight. Let me tell you something. The United States dollar has lost over 96% of its purchasing power since the Federal Reserve was created in 1913. 96%. What cost $1 in 1913 costs close to $30 today. The mechanisms are different. We don't shave silver off coins anymore. We don't need to. We just create digital money, adjust interest rates, run deficits. The tools are sophisticated. The math is complex. The presentations have PowerPoint slides and confident people in expensive suits. But the core principle, the fundamental play, it's Nero's playbook. Dilute the value, spend what you don't have, and hope, really, genuinely hope, that nobody notices fast enough to cause a problem. The U.S. national debt sits at over $38 trillion. $38 trillion. That's more than the combined GDP of China, Japan, and Germany. The annual interest payments alone now exceed what the country spends on national defense. America is spending more to service its past borrowing than to fund its entire military. Let that sink in. And it's not just America. Global government debt has exploded since 2008 and accelerated dramatically after 2020. Every major economy on Earth is running the same experiment. Spend now, figure it out later. Japan's debt to GDP ratio is over 250%. Parts of Europe aren't far behind. China's total debt, government plus corporate plus household, is staggering. And the response to every crisis? The same. More money, more stimulus, more debt. Financial crisis in 2008? Print money. Pandemic in 2020? Print more. Banking stress in 2023? You already know. The Roman Empire took about 200 years to destroy its currency. We're moving considerably faster. But surely, inflation is under control now, right? The experts say so. The central bankers assure us. Everything is fine. It's not. Here's the thing about inflation that most people misunderstand. It's not just prices going up. It's your life getting more expensive while your income stays flat. It's working harder to afford less. It's watching your savings account grow in numbers while shrinking in value. A 3% annual inflation rate doesn't sound scary, but over 30 years, your money loses more than half its purchasing power. Over 50 years, more than 3/4. Your grandparents bought a house on one salary. Your parents needed two. You might need two salaries plus a side hustle plus your partner's income plus giving up avocado toast, and it's still not enough. That's not because you're bad with money. It's because the money is bad. Rome's citizens didn't understand monetary debasement either. They just knew that life was getting harder, that the coins in their hands bought less every year, that the promises from the government sounded increasingly hollow. They couldn't articulate Gresham's law, but they could feel it at the market. You need to hear this next part. There are people who study this pattern, who see the parallels between ancient monetary collapse and modern central banking, who point out that every fiat currency in history, every single one, has eventually failed. Every one. The average lifespan of a fiat currency is about 27 years. The US dollar has been fully fiat since 1971, when Nixon ended gold convertibility. That's over 50 years, which either means the dollar is the exception to every historical rule, or the clock is ticking. And I'm not saying the dollar is going to collapse tomorrow. I'm not saying sell everything and buy gold bars. I'm saying the pattern is there. It's always been there. And every single time, the people living through it said the same thing. This time is different. Spoiler alert, everyone lost money. The Romans who saved in denarii watched their wealth evaporate. The merchants who trusted the Antoninianus got wiped out. The soldiers who accepted debased coins in exchange for their service, their lives got cheated. And by the time everyone realized what was happening, it was too late. The damage was done decades earlier, one tiny debasement at a time. So what do? I'm a history channel, not a financial advisor. But I'll tell you what history teaches. Hard assets survive monetary collapse. Land, precious metals, productive capacity, things with intrinsic value. Skills survive. Community survives. Debt does not survive well when currencies inflate. And financial literacy, understanding why your money loses value, that's not optional anymore. The Roman citizen who understood debasement in 100 AD could have protected themselves, bought land, stored real silver, invested in productive farms. Most didn't. Most trusted the system. Most believed the coins were worth what the emperor said they were worth. Most people today believe the same thing about the number in their bank account. And as usual, nobody learned anything. Rome didn't fall because barbarians were strong. Rome fell because its money was weak. And an empire built on weak money is an empire built on sand. The coins in your pocket, the numbers on your screen, they're only worth what someone promises they're worth. And promises, in every century, in every empire, in every civilization, promises get broken. This could never happen to you, obviously. Most people are going to scroll past this and forget everything by tomorrow, keep wondering why their paycheck stretches a little less each year. The Romans forgot too, and by the time they remembered, they were trading grain like it was 800 BC. But if you'd rather see the pattern before it sees you, the subscribe button's right there.